Hey Lakers fans, welcome back to Lakers News Fan Report. I'm walking you into a story that hits the heart of what we are building right now, the difference between short-term shine and long-term structure. Here's what I'm laying out for you tonight without spoiling the punchline up front. The one metric that explains why our offense looks so orderly even when the roster is thin. The contract domino that the league is quietly circling on its calendar. The specific reason Detroit believes it can fix its half-court problem with one move, and the realistic versions of a trade framework that keep us competitive around our timeline. Stay with me to the end. When the board is set, I'll show you where the Pistons think they can move their queen and what that really means for the Lakers. Let me start with the present tense, because that's where leverage begins. Austin Reaves is not just playing well, he's playing like a primary, and not by accident. With bodies in and out, he's living in that 30-plus points. 9-assist neighborhood with clean efficiency, and you can feel the composure on every touch. Pace under control. Eyes up. Simple reads, the extra dribble that turns a tough 2 into a foul, or a late skip into a wide-open corner 3. That rhythm has stabilized our nights when Luka sits, or when the rotation gets tight, and it's why the rest of the league keeps asking the same question. If the price to keep him long-term climbs into near-max territory, do the Lakers stay married to this version of the backcourt or flip the asset at peak value to balance the sheet? I'm telling you straight, I see a front office that wants to keep both the player and the flexibility. But the calendar is the calendar. He holds a player option down the line that he's earned the right to decline. And when you mix that with a breakout start, phones start lighting up. One of those phones? Detroit. Why Detroit and why now? Because the Pistons live and die with Cade Cunningham's advantage creation, and when that advantage stalls late in games, they've needed a second adult with the ball who can run a possession without turning it into a turnover. They tried to manufacture that with development and secondary playmakers, but injuries and role fits have made their offense feel heavy. Reaves answers that problem on day one. He screens, he slips, he snakes, he lifts weak side to punish tags, he kills switches by going to the mid-post, and he plays both with and without the ball. Pair him with Cade and a vertical spacer like Jalen Duren, and the actions stack. Spain pick-and-rolls get cleaner. Empty side two-man games become quick 0.5 reads. And the weak side defender has to choose between helping on the roll or staying glued to a live shooter who can also drive. That's the on-court logic pulling Detroit toward our guard. But trade talk is never just about fit. It's money and timing. The Pistons can chase cap space in July, but restricted free agent machinery for their young core and the desire to get bird rights on a sure thing pushes them to consider a trade path. That's why you're hearing constructions that look like this. Salary ballast with real players, a blue-chip front-court piece if they truly want our attention, and draft considerations that reflect the cost of taking our best perimeter engine off the floor. From our side, the responsible question is simple. If you put Reaves in Detroit, do the Lakers get back the size, rim presence, and future pathways to keep the offense humming around Luka while raising the defensive ceiling? If the answer isn't a loud yes, you don't do it. Period. Here's the part most people skip. This isn't just a should we trade him conversation. It's a how would we play tomorrow if we did conversation. If you remove Reeves's blend of pick-and-roll craft and late-clock calm, you have to replace it with two things: reliable paint touches and above-the-rim protection that shortens defensive possessions. That points your eyes to Duren as the only realistic center in a Pistons package who actually changes your night-to-night life right now. He screens and sprints, he inhales rebounds, he lives at the front of the rim, and he gives you the kind of vertical gravity that turns Luka's pocket passes into dunks. You can talk yourself into Isaiah Stewart's toughness and switch equity, or into a wing prospect's upside, but if you're giving up your best guard in a contender's window, you don't chase maybes. You chase an identity piece that helps you win playoff possessions. For me, that's Duren or no deal, and even then, only if the rest of the framework doesn't gut our two-way balance or our future picks. Let's zoom in on why Reeves's value looks so bright. It isn't only points and assists. Look at the quality of the possessions he touches. When he drives, he gets to the line. When he doesn't, he keeps his dribble alive and manipulates help. When he catches against a bent defense, he plays off the catch, not the bounce, and that split second matters next to Luka because it keeps the possession out of the mud. The three is steady enough to punish going under. The floater is real, and he's strong at the nail against guards who try to chest him. Add his late-game calm and the way he turns a broken play into a good shot with a simple rescreen, and you have a guard built for April and May. Detroit knows it. The whole league knows it. That's why, even as I walk you through the rumor, I'm telling you I don't see the Lakers eager to move him. They'd need a return that makes the floor higher and the ceiling no lower across Luka's prime. So what would a realistic Pistons structure even look like if talks moved from what if to what now? Think of 3 buckets. Bucket 1, youth plus picks with a center headliner. Duren, draft capital, and secondary salaries to match money. Bucket 2, defender plus forward depth. Stewart's deal, a young wing on a rookie scale, and picks. Neat on paper, but it doesn't truly replace what Austin does in our offense. Bucket 3, the swing. Detroit tries to keep Duren by offering a high upside wing prospect and multiple firsts. That's the hardest sell for the Lakers, because picks in Luka's window are not the same currency they were 2 years ago. We need playable size and playoff clarity as much as we need paper value. If I'm in our room, I'm saying this. Bring me a deal that turns our defense up and still keeps 2 creators on the floor at all times. Or don't bring it at all. Let me also be crystal about the timeline, because the league's gossip machine loves the summer. There's a reason teams are poking around now. Buying in November is how you skip the July arms race. If you trade for a guard like Reaves in season, you acquire his bird rights, and the first conversation you have in July is across your own table, not on the open market. That's leverage. Detroit's front office isn't blind. They've seen how thin their late-game creation gets when Cade is cold or off the floor. They're also managing restricted free agent decisions on young pieces that complicate pure cap space dreams. Trade now, control rights later. It's a clean story for them. It has to be a championship story for us. And that's where I come back to the Lakers' identity. Multiple ball handlers, a great decision-maker at the top of the tree, and enough length and rebounding to finish possessions. We've already reset the hierarchy with Luka as the North Star. You don't cut out the guy who makes that navigation smoother unless the return supercharges the front court and stabilizes the defense. Do I think Detroit pushes an aggressive offer? Yes. Do I think the Lakers are shopping Reaves? No. The offer would need to reflect that he has turned from nice contract into foundational piece, and you pay real prices to pry those away. Foundational means more than points. It means control over the tempo of a game, the temperament of a locker room, and the clarity of a cap sheet in the middle of a chase. That kind of value isn't measured by one hot month. It's measured by how a team looks when the first plan breaks. Reaves has become the guy who turns broken possessions into smart ones, and contenders don't discount that. The beauty and the tension of his season is that both things are true at once. His breakout boosts the team in the standings and inflates his trade value. Welcome to big market basketball. We live in those paradoxes where the better a player fits you, the louder the outside calls get, and where every rumor forces you to ask whether you're optimizing April or optimizing an asset. My read. If the conversation isn't starting at the top shelf, impact front court help plus serious future equity, it's not really a conversation, it's background noise. There's a human piece here too. The chemistry matters. Austin is a crowd favorite for a reason. He competes, he doesn't sulk when his touch count dips next to a superstar, and he's fearless in big moments. Those traits are culture builders. They show up on a Tuesday practice when he's the first to talk on a coverage, and they show up with 3 minutes left when he calls for a rescreen instead of forcing a hero pull-up. When you're trying to keep the room aligned around one goal, removing a connector because the spreadsheet says so is how you lose the room. Numbers set the stage. People win the scenes. That doesn't mean you ignore the cap or the long view. It means you weigh those against the oxygen a player gives your team when the fourth quarter is tight and the legs are heavy. Detroit is betting that oxygen can power their jump, that he can be the adult next to Cade who calms the half court and raises the floor of every lineup. The Lakers have to decide whether they can bottle that same oxygen some other way, through size at the rim or extra shooting or more on-ball reps for others. I'm not convinced you can replicate it cheaply, and I'm even less convinced you should try while you're contending. Quick status check on the basketball, because the rumor only matters if it impacts winning right now. We've seen nights where Reaves has carried the usage load and delivered, and not just with big lines, but with the kind of late-game shot-making that flips standings. He's lived in that sweet spot, under control against switches, patient enough to string out drop, willing to take the hit and get 2 free throws when a possession needs a result. We've also watched the staff stagger him to prop up bench, lineups, and the offense holds steady because he doesn't play hero ball. He moves the ball, gets to his spots, and makes the simple play until the defense overcommits. That's the blueprint next to a heliocentric star. One force who bends the floor by gravity, one guard who solves the puzzle by patience. Add the small things that never trend, early hit-ahead passes, quick slips into dribble handoffs, baseline, relocations after a kickout, and you start to see why lineups with him tend to feel organized even when the names around him change. You want April-May rounds? That's how you build them, one regular season rep at a time. And it's why teams chasing stability are circling his name with a highlighter. So what's the real headline tonight, after all that context? Here it is. And yes, I've waited on it on purpose. Detroit has the right idea about what Reaves would fix for them, and they will probe. They should. But from where I sit, the Lakers' ask begins with a true frontcourt upgrade and real draft value, and even then, the bar to move Austin is sky high. A pretty good center and a maybe one-day wing is not a bar, that's a hedge. You don't swap out your most dependable decision-maker in a contender window unless the return locks you into a cleaner path to June. Cleaner defense at the rim, cleaner glass, cleaner late-game options that shorten series. If the package doesn't raise the playoff floor and leave the ceiling untouched, you're solving the wrong problem. I don't see that offer on the table today. And if you're building around an on-ball superstar for the next several years, a guard who can toggle on and off the ball at this level is exactly the type you keep, not the type you cash out. The line is bright. Raise the team, not the hypothetical trade machine grade. Before I close, I want your read because this channel runs on smart fans. If the Pistons put Jalen Duren in a package with picks, would you do it, or do you still need another rotation piece coming back to keep the two-creator model intact? If it's Isaiah Stewart and a prospect instead, is that a hard no, or is there a version where added firsts make you pause? And if Detroit insisted on keeping their young core and only dangled picks, do you stand pat, bet on internal growth, and revisit everything in July? Tell me below what you'd accept, what you'd reject, and why. Draw your own trade line and defend it. I'll give you my clean takeaway in one line. The Lakers should listen, demand a premium that actually raises the playoff floor, and be ready to hang up if the deal doesn't come with a true difference maker up front. I'm optimistic because our front office has been disciplined when it mattered most, our staff knows how to keep Reaves thriving next to star usage, and the locker room recognizes exactly what he gives us when the game tilts. If you appreciate this kind of straight talk with specifics, help me keep it coming. Tap like, subscribe to Lakers News Fan Report, turn on the bell for real-time updates, drop your trade line in the comments, and share this with the fans who stay for the last 2 minutes. I'll be here after shoot-around with any credible movement, and I'll break it down with the same clarity. What it is, what it isn't, and what it means for us.